Everybody loves a high DPS build, but most of the time, those builds come with a very high skill cap playstyle. You have to perform crazy rotations, combine multiple mechanics, and spam different skills to make the build work. Well, in this video I'm going to show you a very simple setup that can potentially make you the highest damage dealer in your team as long as you follow exactly what I'm using here. And spoiler alert, I'm not even using maxed out gear, guys. Now let's talk about the rotation. And honestly guys, it's so simple, man. You just pull out your DPS umbrella, throw all the projectiles at the enemy. Of course, make sure your fire oil is automatically equipped. By the time you're finished with the umbrella, your passives, your inner way bonuses, the armor set bonuses are fully stacked. Then you switch to the strategic sword. From there, you just spam both abilities until you run out of endurance. Once that happens, use the fire breath plus the drunken poet combo for some burn and explosions until you run out of vigor. And then rinse and repeat. And here is the real strength of this build. Your DPS doesn't fall apart when bosses change phases or become hard to reach. If the boss jumps in the air, dashes away, creates a dangerous zone on the ground that you can't step, or simply moves in a way that stops you from doing melee damage, you don't lose damage with this build, you just pull out the umbrella and fire from distance, stack up all your passives, throw the umbrella in the air so it can automatically attack the enemy, and then just go in melee form and repeat the rest of the combo. A perfect example is the donkey boss when it drops that big AoE that turns players into donkeys, forcing them to stop attacking. I think you get the point. I don't want to keep you longer in the intro, let's jump into the build breakdown. Alright everybody, so here's what we are using in this disgustingly powerful build. Tier 3 Morale Chant, Tier 1 or higher Sword Horizon, 5-fold Bleed Tier 4 or higher, and Bitter Seasons Tier 3 or higher. All of these inner ways are providing us insane damage buffs and also physical defense shred. Now if you want those crazy numbers yourself, here's what you need to level up. Dragon's Breath to Tier 3, Drunken Poet to Tier 3. These two are the main ones that we are using in boss fights, right? You're gonna ignite the enemy and then you're gonna spam the Drunken Poet until you have no more vigor. Guardian spam is recommended for Exploration World, where you can triple jump, try to dash down and then activate the Guardian Palm so you can have the empowered animation. And Cloud Steps is of course a god tier setup to gap close the enemies even in boss fights or in exploration. The rest, Meridian Touch for the quests, Celestial Seas again for the quests, Tai Chi for the bears to open hidden locations and of course for enemies with shields. And for the fourth slot you can either go with the invisibility for the quest lines or you can use a high level mystic skill so you can overall increase your martial mastery. Now for this guys we have multiple ways of activating affinity with this build. This will trigger poison and this will trigger bleed even with the umbrella. And of course let's not forget that we're using a strategic sword which also bleeds the enemy. So the best in slot for this build specifically is gonna be the Hawking plus Eagle Rise setup. Not only this is the best for this build, but also drops from the same boxes. So you can save a lot of materials and a lot of boxes without having to hunt different sets from different boxes, which can be very difficult. Nothing in my build is too crazy, guys. We didn't get too many recommended stats, and also because I'm testing a lot of builds for you guys, I'm out of attunement stones as well. If this setup can do that kind of damage, imagine if you guys spent all the materials on the right setup and have everything upgraded with good recommended stats. On the Divine Craft, you have to have the fire leveled up to 2. This is a very nice damage boost, which we have all the time fighting the boss. Some people recommend the poison one, but in my opinion, this is going to be insane and it's gonna take over the scene of DPS in boss fights. Now on this level, we're gonna get something crazy. During this effect, consecutive attacks trigger an additional explosion. Not only your Drunken Poet will trigger explosion, maybe even double explosions, right? You're gonna get the explosions from the umbrella and from the strategic sword bleeds and all that. It's gonna be insane. And the overall damage, in my opinion, is gonna be way more than the poison. But what is there to say if we don't test this theory? And that is the build, guys. But before we go, I want to share with you this screen, which states that we are Grandmaster 1 in PvP, and let me tell you, I have figured out a very toxic PvP build, which is going to be the next video coming up, so stay tuned if you are a PvP person. I absolutely love the PvP in this game, and I hope you do as well, so you can watch what's coming up next. Without further ado, now let's watch a boss fight where it almost felt like I was a solo DPS carry, And with that note, I can tell you that if you have a healer, it doesn't matter if the rest of the team is doing damage, you can solo carry the whole fight yourself. Enjoy the fight, fellas. Don't forget to subscribe for future content. Let me know what you think for this build in the comments. I always try to answer to every single one of them. Until next time, stay chaotic.